A political ideology is a collection of beliefs, values, and ideas that belong to a social movement, institution, or big group. It explains how society should work and provides a plan for organizing it in a certain way. Now, in the present day, there are more ideologies than we can count. But in this video, we will try to explain all mainstream political ideologies as simply as possible. Conservatism is all about sticking with what's tried and true. It's a way of thinking that values old traditions, beliefs, and institutions. For conservatives, it's important to support things like the family, religion, military, and the laws that keep a society running smoothly. Even though conservatives agree on keeping traditions, what they consider worth keeping can vary a lot from one place to another. For example, what's valued in one country might be different in another. Liberalism is kind of like the anti-venom for conservatism. It is all about championing the individual's rights, freedom, and equality. This philosophy leans heavily on the idea that everyone should have the freedom to live as they choose, as long as it doesn't harm others. Liberals strongly support the notion that governments should get their power from the consent of people they govern and that everyone should be treated equally under the law. Libertarianism champions freedom as its cornerstone, drawing its name from the concept of liberty itself. At its core, libertarians value personal autonomy and political freedom, standing firm for civil liberties like free speech, free thought, and the freedom to choose and associate. They often view authority and state power with skepticism, if not outright opposition, and are critical of warfare, militarism, and nationalism. Yet, libertarianism is not monolithic. It spans a spectrum, from those who contest existing economic and political structures to various degrees, to those who embrace different forms of state and private power. Anarchism is a political philosophy that deeply distrusts authority and aims to get rid of institutions it sees as sources of coercion and hierarchy, like nation-states and capitalism. Instead, it champions stateless societies and voluntary associations. There are two main types of anarchism. Social anarchism, which focuses on achieving a free society through equality and social ownership, and individualist anarchism, which prioritizes personal freedom and autonomy. Anarchists believe in a society organized around principles like mutual aid, autonomy, and direct democracy, rejecting both the state's legitimacy and capitalism. Unlike economic libertarianism, which can support some forms of hierarchy, anarchism is strictly egalitarian and community-focused. Fascism is a far-right, highly authoritarian ideology known for its dictatorial leaders, strong central control, militarism, and aggressive suppression of any opposition. It emphasizes a natural social hierarchy, placing the nation or race needs above individual rights, advocates for strict control over society and economy. They do not see violence as inherently bad, but as a tool for national revitalization and imperial expansion, advocating for a totalitarian state and a controlled economy aimed at self-sufficiency. Fascist ideology often includes notions of racial purity and superiority, leading to discrimination, atrocities, and genocide against perceived enemies. Post-World War II, fascism has been widely discredited, and few parties identify with it openly, though the terms neo-fascist or post-fascist are often used to describe groups with similar ideologies today. Populism emphasizes the importance of the people, and typically sets them in opposition to the elite. This concept, which has been around since the late 19th century, is often associated with criticizing the establishment and the conventional political framework. The term has been used in various contexts, sometimes negatively, to describe a wide range of politicians, movements, and parties. One way to understand populism is through the ideational approach, which sees it as an ideology that portrays the people as inherently good and morally superior, in contrast to the elite, who are depicted as corrupt and self-interested. Populists define the people in different ways, sometimes based on class, ethnicity, or nationality, and accuse the elite, including political, economic, cultural, and media figures, of prioritizing their own interests or those of other specific groups, like big businesses, foreign powers, or immigrants, over the common good. Communism aims to create a society where everything is shared equally. In this society, there's no private ownership of property or the means to produce goods. Instead, everything is owned in common. This setup is supposed to get rid of social classes, money, and even the state itself eventually. Communists believe in providing to everyone based on their needs. Communism is considered a far-left ideology and includes various schools like Marxism, Leninism, and anarchist communism, among others. Despite their differences, these groups share the goal of overcoming the current capitalist society, which they see as based on an exploitative relationship between the working class and the owning class, through a revolution that empowers the working class. Now, socialism is often confused with communism, but there are some differences. Sure, it also seeks to replace private ownership with social ownership of the means of production, but includes a wider range of approaches to how to do this. Socialism can involve public, cooperative, or collective ownership, and it might operate within a market system or outside of one. Socialists aim to manage the economy and society to reduce the negatives they associate with capitalism, like inefficiencies and social inequality. Now, capitalism is more of an economic framework than a political ideology where the production and distribution of goods are owned and managed by private individuals and companies aiming for profit. Under capitalism, decisions about what to produce, how to produce it, and for whom are made by individuals and companies based on their own interests. Markets, driven by competition, play a crucial role in determining the prices of goods and services and in allocating resources efficiently. Imperialism is when a country extends its control over other countries, aiming to grow its power and influence. This can be done through direct conquest and rule, hard power, like military force or economic dominance, or through indirect means, soft power, such as diplomacy or spreading its culture. The goal is to create or maintain a dominant empire or hegemony, where the imperial power has significant control over the politics, economy, and social life of the subjugated nations. Though closely linked to colonialism, which involves settling and exploiting colonies, imperialism is broader. It refers to various methods of exerting influence or control over other nations, not just through colonization. Totalitarianism is a political system where the state holds absolute control over both public and private aspects of life. It's marked by the absence of opposition parties, the suppression of individual and group dissent, and a dominant role in controlling all societal sectors, including the economy, education, arts, sciences, and personal morals of its citizens. This form of governance takes authoritarianism to its extreme, centralizing all power in the hands of a dictator who uses state-controlled media and constant propaganda to maintain control and influence the nation's people. Unlike authoritarian regimes, which simply focus on maintaining power, often with military and elite support, totalitarian systems are characterized by a charismatic leader who propagates a fixed ideology or worldview.